And good morning. Yeah, I think. Yeah, yeah. I think I'm live. I think this is working. I think we're good to go. Good morning. Boy, this must be weird for you guys. It's weird for me. Normally Chris is here and Chris is in charge of everything. Y'all, he has so many buttons over here. He's got buttons on top of his buttons. Yes, a solo cam. You could say it's a cam solo. Haha. And I've got a bad feeling about this. So, let's see. Good morning to Jamie. Good morning to Patricia. Hey, good morning to Chris from the other side of this for a change. And good morning to Steve, our fantastic moderator, whom I've seen on Facebook on the past few days. I thought you swore off Facebook forever, Steve. And yes, I do in fact have a very large cup of coffee. This is also, as far as Chris and I are concerned, the normal sized cup of coffee. It's large for most people, but yeah. So, a couple of things. I'd like to start with just real quick acknowledging the passing of Norm Macdonald. Absolutely foul-mouthed comic. Talk about working blue. Man, but he was funny, and he was offensive, and it turned out he's had cancer for some time and kept it a secret from the public, and he died yesterday, and we don't have many actual comics left that are like funny and not afraid to say edgy things, even if just, you know, for the sake of getting the laugh. And Norm was a good one. It sucks to lose him. But that is not the thing that we are discussing today. It's WTF CNN day, and we basically know the results of the recall election from California. And it turns out that that Newsom won by like some 2 million votes. I mean, there were 3 million votes to recall him, but there was more than 5 million votes to leave him in office. You know, it's sort of like, Chris has talked about how, you know, in the Middle East, we go over there, we kick the ass of whoever the dictator of whatever country or region is. We give them everything they need so they can vote, they can run a functional democracy, and then the very first thing they do is vote in a brand new, totally oppressive Shia, just blanked on the name of it, of the religious tenets that Muslims follow, and they think that it should govern everything in their lives. Anyhow, they vote their oppressors back in, and I give you California, because of course, they vote their oppressors back in. I did listen to some analysis from Eric Erickson yesterday, and I know Eric Erickson, I get it, okay, but the man is at least somewhat, I mean, it's fair to say that he's a subject matter expert on elections and things of that ilk. And his analysis was that the real problem was Larry Elder, but not so much that it was Larry Elder himself, that it was Sharia law. Thank you. It's a good thing about having a very intelligent comment section. So yeah, California and Sharia law. Okay. Basically, while the race was about how bad Gavin Newsom sucks, he was in real trouble. But once the race became about how awesome Larry Elder was, well, now the news media had something else to focus on, and that Larry Elder's branding and messaging was just off. He would do things, he would constantly go on Fox News, and since California's got a whole lot of blue cancer in California, to be basically a conservative far-right Republican and win in that statewide is very challenging. And so that the mistake Larry Elder made was instead of pushing everything back on Gavin Newsom and making the message about how bad Gavin Newsom sucks, Larry Elder kind of sucked up all the oxygen in the room, and, well, there you go. So, CNN, oh dear. Decisive answer. Let's see. All right. Man,
we all certainly in this pandemic
shut up.
Want to feel
We're just
safe,
going to read the
protect.
There we go. All right. Anyhow, so I was going to try and read this article here, but it turns out Chris has an oversized mouse and a thumb wheel that is actually, if you're not used to it, it's interesting to try and manipulate. Okay, here we go. So, from CNN, California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom delivered a decisive answer to the question of whether voters would penalize those who enacted strict policies aimed at slowing the coronavirus pandemic, triumphing over an effort to recall him Tuesday. Okay. This y'all, just this first paragraph, this is part of why CNN is so infuriating and why they suck so bad. Because the question was not whether voters would penalize those who enacted strict policies aimed at slowing the coronavirus pandemic. The question with Newsom was, first of all, how big of a hypocrite was he? And why is it okay for Hollywood to continue to work and make money and do all these things, but the average Joe Schmo would go out of business, lose their job? The favoritism alone that was played in California was massive, and it did have some of the strictest lockdowns in the country. And then, of course, you had Gavin Newsom himself, going out to really posh restaurants and not wearing a mask, obviously. So rules for thee and not for me. So the way that CNN starts this off is to say somehow, oh, it was all about responsible policy making. See, there was just a difference of opinion in policy making. Well, no, there's not just a difference in policy making. There's the fact that this guy is basically a shitburger, and an arrogant shitburger, and it almost cost him the governorship. So Newsom faced the first recall election in California in 18 years. At one point, weeks before the election, he appeared to be in serious enough jeopardy that Democrats decided to dispatch Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to campaign for him. You know you're in trouble when Kamala Harris is a step up, just as a point of fact, especially in the state of California. Woo! Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard. Love you, love you. Let's see. Republicans sought a replay of 2003 when actor Arnold Schwarzenegger attracted support across ideological lines and voters decided to boot then Governor Gray Davis. This time, though, the party's leading candidate, talk show host Larry Elder, stuck much closer to conservative orthodoxy, making it difficult to attract the sort of broad bipartisan support that it takes a GOP candidate to win in deep blue California. And his long history of incendiary comments, combined with the odd recall system that virtually guaranteed Elder would become governor if Newsom was recalled, to energize those who had largely tuned the election out and might not have cast their ballots. Here are the 5 takeaways from California's recall election. And Chris points out that there is a huge difference in policy making. Yes, our own state of Georgia here. Back when we really liked Brian Kemp a lot, he was the first governor to come out and publicly say, no, we can reopen the state. I don't mind doing it slow. I don't mind doing it careful, whatever, but we're going to reopen the state. I'm not going to put my state out of business because of a virus that might be far more survivable than the news media would have you believe. But whatever. And also, I think CNN accidentally did a little bit of actual journalism here, because this does line up with Eric Erickson's analysis that because Larry Elder was so far right-wing and he was doing things like going on Hannity on Fox News, it kind of created the perception that, hold on a minute now, we're about to elect a guy we don't agree with. Don't do that. Okay. First takeaway. Strict pandemic policy gets a big win. Gee, I wonder why that would be the first takeaway, CNN. It's almost like you want to craft a narrative that's a bunch of bullshit. No. No, whatever. Newsom's aggressive actions to slow the spread of the coronavirus, the same restrictions that helped spur the recall election, got a significant boost on Tuesday night, proving to Democrats across the country that strict pandemic policy can be good politics. Newsom nodded to this in his election night remarks to reporters, stating that while people voted no, that vote meant they said yes to science, yes to vaccines, yes to ending this pandemic. Look. Let's just get one thing clear. This is no longer a pandemic. This is going to be endemic, okay? Just like there's a flu season, just like there's a cold season, there's going to be a coronavirus season. It's just a thing. It has spread everywhere. There are variants. It's not going away. Like, let go of the fantasy that we're going to magically make the Rona go away, because that's not going to happen. And second of all, God, this is infuriating, because this is, boy, you want to talk about wag the dog. This is CNN basically saying, hey, go ahead with all of your really oppressive, vaguely Gestapo-like tactics to stop the spread of the virus. No more lung pal sick in here. And do all these things that violate people's freedoms because, hey, the people in California voted and said it was okay. So it should not only apply to California, but it should apply to every other state. And notice the trick here, okay? Pay really close attention to what they say. They say that it proves to other Democrats that this is good politics. They don't say to other governors or senators or mayors or whatever. No. Other Democrats, okay? They're trying to make the point that because a blue governor won in a state with a lot of blue cancer, somehow this just proves that at least in Democrat-controlled areas, everybody's on board with aggressive lockdowns. Screw you if your business goes under. So sorry, Charlie. We'll mail you $600 in the mail, but we'll tell your landlord he's not allowed to evict you. He still has to pay his mortgage because, eat the rich. And trust me, AOC wore a dress that said it, so it makes total sense, y'all. But really what this election actually proves, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge, all you other governors that were worried you might get recalled, what this election proves is that people are totally okay with having their freedoms, basically taken away from them over a virus that the vast majority of us would survive without incident if we caught it. Anyhow, okay. And we're supposed to visit. I actually support the secession of California. That would be fantastic if it could just drift off into the ocean. Hey, Alex from Polytech is here. It's good to see you, buddy. All right, let's keep going. This, more than any lesson coming out of California, is the most likely to permeate other elections later this year and in 2022, helping back up Democrats who have pushed strict coronavirus measures to curb the ongoing spread of the Delta variant in the face of small but vocal opposition. The face of small but vocal opposition. Yes, that's what we are. Small but vocal opposition. Boy, that's not condescending at all. And look, let me just ask the question. Okay, all right, so we've had all these super strict coronavirus measures. How well have they worked? And Joe Biden has been president since like January, right? And it's September, and there's still like the coronavirus thing, right? So how well have these policies? Oh, that's right, they haven't worked. There's a comment and a sort of an acerbic joke there about masks and how effective they are, but I won't make it because I don't want to get our YouTube channel yeeted again because of the Rona. Anyhow, okie dokie. Newsom staked his campaign on his stringent COVID measures, using them to attack Elder as lax on the pandemic, contrasting himself with Republican governors in Texas and Florida, running full alongside the new vaccine requirements that Joe Biden announced just days before Election Day. We saw the Delta surge as a real inflection moment in this campaign, said Sean Clegg, Newsom's top strategist. What Delta brought into clear focus was what the stakes are in this election when one party has basically become an anti-science, anti-vaccine, anti-public health party. Shit right up your nose. We're the party that understands that boys are boys and girls are girls, and that boys that think they're girls and girls that think they're boys are probably just gay and confused because, you know, being a teenager with tons of hormones surging through you is confusing. And I'm just going to guess, I myself am not gay, but I'm just going to guess that if I went to 14-year-old Cameron and I took all of that confusion and then I layered in being homosexual on top of all of that hormonal confusion, I might have been an even bigger hot mess than I already was. I'm just saying. But we're the party of anti-science, and nobody with any sense, at least on our side, is anti-vax in any way. If you want the vaccine, go get the vaccine. Okay? I'm not even afraid of the vaccine. I don't think you're being microchipped. The stuff with the... We know the stuff with the, it injects a chip into you and you can stick a magnet to your skin and it's going to be okay. Yeah, no. That's garbage. That's QAnon stuff, okay? But basically everybody on our side has said get the vaccine. And we've said very specifically things like, hey, you know, if you're older than 65, or you've got multiple comorbidities, or if you work in a high-risk field, you should probably get the vaccine first. But somebody like me, who's basically young and healthy, and for the first time in my life, right down dead center of my BMI index, I could get the COVID and barely would even notice it. We've been joined by somebody named Ominous756, who's got a rather ominous name. It's God, the dad puns. Okay. Anyhow, keep it going. 2020 Newsom versus Elder race. In the same breath that he acknowledged Newsom's defeat of the recall on stage Tuesday night, Elder hinted at another run next year in California's normally scheduled governor's race. We may have lost the battle, but we are going to win the war. It might be a headache for California Republicans. All right, full stop. Full stop. Okay, I can make this real clear for you guys, all right? Here's why Republicans lose. It's that weak attitude right there. Right there. I don't even need to keep going, okay? Basically, they're going to say that Larry Elder was too Republican for the Republicans, that he just, gosh darn it, you know, if he just didn't have all those pesky conservative values, that if he wasn't actually pro-life and pro-gun and pro-traditional marriage, he'd have a shot at winning. And yet, every time we run a squish, we lose. Every time we run somebody that's going to moderate even slightly, we lose. You know, the only time we've won in recent history was Trump, and Trump came in and said, you know what, I'll be the pigeon that knocks over the chessboard, shits all over the chessboard, and declares myself the winner, because I'm not going to play the game on your terms. Now, I'm not saying that a bright red conservative has much of a chance to win in California. They don't. When you look at like LA County and just the absolute cancer that place is, you know, that's those are some really big hurdles to overcome. And yet, it wasn't that long ago California had a governor named Ronald Reagan. Yeah, that's right, folks. California used to be capable of electing people like Ronald Reagan, who did compromise and moderate on some things while he was governor. Like, no doubt about it. Like, he did come from the actors union and all that. But nonetheless, it used to be possible for Republicans to win. Now, granted, Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of those, like, fiscally conservative but socially liberal sort of Republicans, and it did help him win. But, I mean, let's be honest, okay? The real reason Arnold Schwarzenegger won about 20 years ago is because he's Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger, okay? Everybody wanted to be able to say, I voted for the governor. I mean, it was it was just too easy. It was the meme governor. It was sort of like when Barack Obama became president. Like, he was basically the first meme president. I'm voting for hope, and I'm voting for change, and all that other garbage. Excuse me. Okie dokie. Point being, don't back down from your values. The Democrats don't. In fact, I have to think that the time we've spent on this article page is the most engagement CNN site has had in ages. You know what, Steve? I think I can... That's for you. Comment section. Oh, hey, look. Katie Manry has joined us. Good morning, coming to us from Facebook. The rest of you commenters need to get on it, man. Let's see. Been exposed several times. This started twice. Just went to Dragon... all right. Long story short, don't back down from your principles. The Democrats don't. I mean, they've been pushing universal health care for like a century, and they're still pushing it. So no, don't back down from the fact that we're pro-life. Don't back down from the fact that we think taxation is theft. Yeah, because being moderates hasn't done us any favors. The party had other options, including... I'm just going to skip this one. Okay. Just skip it. Lessons from California are limited. Many of these lessons Democrats across the country can take away from the defeat of the recall are far less definitive. Complicated by both the fact that the state, with its nearly 2-to-1 registration advantage for Democrats, looks little like most key races in 2022, and that recall elections by nature create unique electoral conditions. Now, CNN's accidentally doing some journalism again. That's that's funny. Newsom's advisors were quick to argue that national Democrats would be wise to follow their lead, urging them to tie their opponents to Trump like the governor did, and to nationalize races to ratchet up the stakes. Yes, Democrats, do that. Follow Gavin Newsom's example. Nationalize all the elections. Yeah, do exactly that right there. Okay, Larry Elder lost in California because Larry Elder lost in California. I know that, and people on your side with half a brain also know that. But if you guys want to go ahead and, just pretend like the entire country is California, I dare you. I triple dog dare you with hot fudge on top, okay? I really do. Oh. Larry Elder is on the ballot here on the recall, but a version of Larry Elder is going to be on the ballot all over the country, said Juan Rodriguez, Newsom's campaign manager. And that's an important lesson for Democrats and how they kind of lean into the messaging that we have done. Democrats tasked with winning key races in 2021 and 2022 were less certain that California provided them with a roadmap, given the state's unique political makeup. Yeah, that's true. Let's see, it's very hard to see any real inferences that could be made from the California results, said a top Democrat in Virginia. And again, very true. If you look at the political situation in a state like Virginia, that does have a tendency to lean blue, but it's not the balls out insanity that California is. They don't have, there's not an app for the cities in Virginia that help you avoid the piles of human feces like there is in California. Let's see. No talk of fraud from Elder. Yeah, I feel like we should just skip entirely over the election priapism thing there. Price tag for California's recall election was $276 million, according to the state's Department of Finance. Ultimately, the state's odd laws allowed for an election that wasn't close to be held at enormous expense just 14 months before Newsom would have been on the ballot for re-election anyway. Along the way, it prompted calls to reform the recall process, which can be triggered through a petition signed by 12% of the voter turnout of the state's last gubernatorial election for any reason. $276 million waste just to reaffirm the 2018 results with an election coming in 2022. California Assembly's pro temp Kevin Mullen tweeted Tuesday night. Mullen said reforms would include elevating the lieutenant governor to the state's chief executive position if a governor is successfully recalled, rather than having voters choose a replacement on the same ballot. Newsom's campaign urged voters to vote no on whether to recall him and then leave the second question, who should replace him if he was recalled, blank. That strategy appeared problematic when polls showed a close race with no viable Democratic candidate if Newsom was recalled. But it ultimately helped Newsom's campaign turn the contest into a head-to-head with Elder. And I think if I do that... Aha! Man, it's almost like Chris gave me a crash course on all of these buttons. So there you have it. Yeah. And look, that last little bit there in the article, where they basically whined and complained, well, there's going to be an election in 14 months anyway, so why would we spend all this money? First of all, I don't want to hear anybody in California complain about the way California spends money, because California just don't give a damn about spending money. They're one of the most fiscally irresponsible entities on the planet. If you look at California's books, like they honestly compare more to Venezuela than they do anything else. If they weren't part of the United States, and if they didn't have all the tourism dollars and the Hollywood dollars and everything else, they would be so insolvent, it would be like going in a black hole and coming out inverted the other side. That's how big of a mess California is. $276 million would be enough to change my life and to change the lives of my children and my grandchildren and probably Chris's children and grandchildren, okay? But for a state like California, $276 million, like it's a drop in the bucket. I'm getting congratulations in the comments. Thank you, guys. And look, I'm going to wrap up on because it's about time to wrap up. So I'm going to wrap up on this. That the whining and the fussing about, oh, why did we have to go through this process? Well, we went through this process because the law in California is that if 12% of the electorate signs a recall petition, then the governor gets recalled. That's just the way that it is. And why would we have and why would we have things in place where we can recall politicians? Well, because the only other alternative is violence. We can compete with our words or we can compete with our fists. And in the modern age, we can compete with, tanks that weigh more than, tractor trailers, which I don't think is the one you want. Oh, and solo today and tomorrow for me because Chris is on the beach, just so everybody knows. 30 minutes in, and I think that's going to do it. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Hopefully we'll run across a toter win. I'd like to be able to do one. So y'all have a good day, and all right.